Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Tribe Podcast. Today's episode basically is going to be kind of talking about the ether, but also like where the Akashic Records is inside of that and like the concepts so we can better understand it. Because I think if you've done our courses before, you'll know that we talk about the ether and the Akashic Records, but this is like a little bit more understanding it from a more, I guess,
technical
elemental perspective. That's right.
This came up actually because
my Cosmic You stuff.
Her Cosmic You stuff, and we started digging like a little bit deeper. And how this question, we actually did we've done a bunch of episodes that we talk about the dimensions and where the Akashic Records are stored and all that, and that there had been people talking about the Akashic Records being in a specific dimension. We always talk about the fifth dimensional energy that we connect with, and we wanted to kind of go into it a little bit deeper in the sense of, you know, we understand the Akashic Records to be in the ethereal realm, the ether, right? And to understand that we are always going to keep this simple, right? We don't want to go too out there, but we want to explain it in a way that could make sense.
Unless you sign up for my Cosmic You stuff, then it's out there.
Then you go into the technical stuff. This podcast isn't about this. It's about us understanding these concepts. And I think really with the Akashic Records, it's important to understand what we're connecting to. I think that helps us. I don't know. I get like this sense that when I understand, this is me, I can only speak for myself, right? And I think for a lot of people that do readings with me and they ask these kind of questions, it's like the more you understand what you're doing, the more you can understand what capacity you have to connect, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the Akashic Records is really, I don't know, it feels like such a, I always say it and I'll repeat it, and we're going to say this probably several times during the episode, that the Akashic Records, everyone has a right to connect to this information.
Yes.
We all do. It is part of our given, like God-given right.
As long as you're part of the collective or grouping, I guess is another word to say it. So for example, you can connect with information that is for you as an individual, to your Akashic Records. You have the right to connect to somebody else's if they give you permission. Mm-hmm. You have the right to connect to Akashic Records of your country, of the continent you live in, of the planet that you live in, of the solar system you live in. But then you can't be like, oh, let me go find out the information from this universe that's in like a whole nother place, has nothing to do with me. That would be considered gossiping. Yeah. And you don't pertain to that collective currently. Doesn't mean your soul might not pertain to it in the future, but currently right now, as the individual you're playing, the character you're playing, that is Lorena, Lucia, or whoever you are, you actually don't currently have that right to connect to whatever it is outside, totally and completely external from you. So understanding that, I think, is really important because it's a level of respect, and it's also a protection the universe has for itself. Because of previous manipulation has happened that has actually affected us on Earth. Because of that previous manipulation, this law has been implemented to a really extreme point. When I say extreme, it's like it's a like rule, and it's like put your foot down rule. It's like we're not going to let you surpass this. So that's why we've said before, like there's people that are like, oh, I'm going to connect with the Akashic Records of Einstein, who's not here anymore. Well, did Einstein give you permission? No. So you're probably connecting to something else, and you're convinced that it's Einstein, but it's not.
Yeah, but let's bring it down. There's a lot of people that are connecting to their Akashic Records, asking things about like cosmic things.
Yeah.
We have the right to connect with that. Are we ready to get the answers to that? Maybe not all of us have that expansion or that openness to receive that. And we might not even ask those questions, but that, yes.
Yeah.
General things of like cosmic or universal, that's our right to know that information. Could it be blocked for several reasons in the sense of, are we ready to hear it? It could be progressive, that we ask certain questions and we start to understand it more and more.
And it usually is.
It usually is that way.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so with that said, I guess understand when we talk about the ether, what is the ether? So you could categorize it as a form of an element. So we have earth, air, fire, water, right? The four elements that we know here on Earth. By the way, I'm telling you the 4 elements that we manage here on Earth. There's actually other element forms, if you go to other dimensions, that we don't even know exist, and we will not comprehend them with our, like, current level of consciousness. We can't understand them. But we're talking about the 4 elements right now that we have here on Earth that we know about and that we understand. And so, talking about the ether, we know that the ether is one of those elements.
Yeah.
And so, we could categorize it as an element. And inside of that element, there could be information from different levels of dimension. So it's not just this dimension. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, da, 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 we keep going up, right? So it contains the information of all those dimensions. So the ether is everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
It's not just above us. Because I don't know what you think, but like when I think about the ether, I used to think, okay, 5th dimension. And I'll kind of leave it there.
Yeah, and I think this kind of chat that we had the other day when we started to like dig into this, I understood it at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
that
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Even around
it
us
is,
here in the heavier density.
Oh, yeah. It is everything and everything. It's everything. Like everything.
Yeah, it's around us everywhere. It connects to everything. And it connects to all cosmos, all planetary systems, all collective consciousness. It connects to everything, so nothing is left out. But then coming back to what we were just talking about, just because it connects to all of that doesn't mean you have the right to access all of that information. You have to be a part of either that collective or that grouping or that system to be able to have the right to connect to that specific information. And so inside of the ether you'll have, so if you go to my Cosmic You classes, you'll understand that we have, we're in material form, so this is matter, this is material form. We have no matter, and then we have antimatter. So those are 3 forms: matter, no matter, and antimatter. And the ether can contain the information and it surrounds, what's the word?
Envelops.
Envuelve?
Yeah, envelops.
Okay, that's the word I'm looking for.
Or surrounds. You could say surrounds, yeah.
It surrounds, and it's part of all of those. Matter, antimatter, and no matter. So understanding that, I think makes us comprehend more that when you tap into information, you can tap into information from this material form, from beings that are even more... what's the word for sutil? Subtle. Beings that are more subtle, that are not so material like us, but also we're connecting with realms that are like angelic realms, which are 12th dimension, which are beings that are a total different form than us. That's why, because we're all contained inside of the ethereal bubble. I guess you could, when I try to imagine it, it's like an ethereal bubble in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's inside of that. A cloud. I see a little bit like a cloud. I don't know how you see it.
Yeah, I want to go back to something that we talked about in like the course. I don't remember if it was one day that I don't know if you brought it up in the course or if it was on a episode where you're talking about like looking at the Akashic Records as like a database.
Yeah.
Like a database of information, right? And it's like the ethereal realm is the database. It's not the Akashic Records, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of changing my perspective.
I think humans and Earth, we call it the Akashic Records. But another way to say it for the universe, because the universe doesn't call it the Akasha.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, they'll call it the server database, the universal server database.
Which is in the ethereal realm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in Cosmic You, I talk about how the evolutionary systems function, where all the information, when we just finished evolutionary system, so if you did my Cosmic You classes, you'll understand that in the 12th of December of 2012, which is also the same year the Mayan said, this is when our galactic night ended. So the more like oppressed version of our evolution ended, and then we began what they call galactic day after that. So that's what the Mayans called the apocalypse, right?
Yes,
kind of like that. It wasn't the end of the world, it was the end of an era.
Yeah, that was a whole thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the end of the era was the beginning of the light era. And so when an era ends, all the information that was obtained from the race, in this case the human race, and also all the other like the animal kingdom and everything that every being on Earth experienced when that day came, it was all brought into the database server. So that's where it's all held. That's why you can find out information from behind you or from the supposed linear time before you or behind us as in the past. It's all contained in the database. It's no longer really directly with us. It's actually stashed somewhere now because it's not actually part of reality anymore.
Yeah.
So understanding that, you'll understand that just like Earth evolutionary processes and experiences, because it's not just a process, it's what did Lorena experience? Mm-hmm. What did Lorena's soul as this person over there in the past? So all of our lifetimes experiences.
Soul incarnations.
So all your soul's experiences were pulled out in that same moment and put into the database because the era ended. What we began to experience now is here around us, surrounding us now. Mm. But when the era ends, it will be pulled out with the ending of the era and put directly into the database. And that's where it will exist for the rest of the existing, well, where time is not the right, because time is for us here different than there, but okay. But understanding that, you understand that the ether doesn't have just a holding of a moment. It's everything that ever exists, and it continues to exist and possibly will exist as well.
The possibilities of probabilities.
The probability and possibility lines, that's right, that we talk about. And so evolutionary processes of human Earth are there, but also of everything else. Like the Pleiadians had their evolution. Like the Arcturians went through a similar process as us, in the sense that they had their like dimming down years and now they're enlightened years. It happened way before us, of course, but it's going to be there as well. And so everything is there. Every race, all the information is there.
So when we talk, because this is the topic that I was talking about earlier, when we talk about what dimensions we connect with when we connect to the Akashic Records, or what dimensions are the Akashic Records located in?
And I remember that's a question we asked, and our consciousness level wasn't ready to understand it. Do you remember?
But I think the message I get, it's shifted. It's like it's shifted. Maybe it's our consciousness.
No, I think our perspective shifted. Because when we channeled it for the Patreon, for our community group, because one of our community members was like, people are saying that it's in the 13th dimension and it's not in the 5th dimension, and that blah, blah, blah. And so we're like, let's find out. Let's see what we get. And we got that there was carbon copies all over the place. Now I understand it. It's not that there's a version here and a version there. It's that individuals that are in a more denser reality like ours, we can't make it all the way up to the ether, the information process that's in the 12th dimension. All of them have the same information stashed that they have the right to access, but we, being here in such a lower density, we don't have the ability to go that high in vibration to access information. So since everybody has the right to access information, they create what seems to be sort of like carbon copies in different dimensional levels, where it's like, here, this is the 5th dimensional where the people from 3 and 4 can go to.
Yeah. Okay.
And 5, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the ether that we tap into, the database in the ether that we tap into as a Akashic Record Reader in 3rd dimension, you and I, Lorena, Lucia, we're going into the higher version of 5th dimension.
Yeah.
So, that's us. The Arcturians use another one. You know, the Pleiadians probably use another one. Blah 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 blah. Because they're in different levels.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
It's the same information, though.
Yeah, it's not like somebody's getting better information because they're going in a higher dimension.
Yeah, no.
Okay, that to me feels good. That message, they're like confirming that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So understanding that, I think, is a really important process, because every thought that you have, every feeling that you have, every belief system that you have, every struggle you've ever had, it's all recorded on a consistent basis. There's no moment where the recording button goes, stop, give her a little bit of a break. Yeah. Let's record her after. No, it's recorded on a consistent basis.
Oh, it's everything.
Yeah.
All of it.
All the time.
Yep.
So that's really important to understand, especially if you're an Akashic Records reader, or if you're someone that's like trying to tap into this universal information. The more you're able to expand your consciousness, the more the ether can open up its database to you, because you're able to understand more, and they're like, oh, because if you're at a conscious level where you don't understand it, not only will your brain not understand it and can't receive it properly, it could also be dangerous to give you information that you can't understand, because you might misinform yourself or misinterpret. Misinterpret yourself, and then you're going to give a whole collective the wrong information, and that could have severe consequences. Correct. Important consequences.
Yeah.
So it's not just that your brain can't only comprehend it, translate it, because when you're a Akashic Records reader, you're receiving the frequency, and we teach this in our Akashic Record courses, right? Level 1 and 2. You receive it via frequency. Your brain transforms into information that you can express in words to the person that's in front of you, or you're writing it down because you're reading your own Akashic Records, right? So it turns into words that we understand, whatever language you speak. And if your brain can't comprehend it, not only that, but it can't come through. The frequency can't be understood by the brain.
That's something I want to talk about. I know it's not off topic, but we're talking about channeling. I want to specifically talk about, especially a lot of these. I got a lot of people that come to me for readings, and a lot of people that are learning to read their own Akashic records. So they've done level 1 with us, for example. Mostly people that have studied with us, and there's this one subtle, the word subtle, very subtle thing that I think a lot of us miss, and you've just explained it in a way that I think, get out of your head that the messages are going to come through in somebody else's voice.
Yeah, it's true.
It's this thing that I keep seeing repeated over and over again, and I have to say, this is probably something I believed at some point too at the beginning, and it was something that I understood with time. And then I keep seeing it repeated, and I feel like it's something I have to say today. And I'll probably do a video on my YouTube at some point too, of like how the messages come through, especially when we're talking about information. It's coming through your brain. Mm-hmm. It's coming through your senses. It's coming through your body. It's coming through a lot of things. But I think mostly when we talk about opening our own and connecting to channeling those messages through the Akashic Records, you'll hear it. It's like you get it in your own voice.
Yeah. It's
your own head. It's information. It's ideas that are being popped into your head, and you have to just write them down or say them out loud or type them up or whatever. But I hope this helps somebody. I felt like I needed to talk about this, and it's so funny that you just mentioned that, like that it just came up in that way. But hopefully this helps any of you that are trying to connect to your Akashic Records, because get out of your head that it needs to be in a voice that's somebody else's. It's not how it really works. Maybe for some of you might be connecting to something else, and maybe that is the way it works for you. But I would say 99.9% of the time, for most people, it is your own head, your own voice. It's just the way it works.
Yeah. And another good thing to state is, because I think a lot of us want to know about past lives, and that's why hypnosis is such a big thing. So I was want to know what experiences did my soul have in other lifetimes or in other planetary systems. And there's a system put in place to protect you and how much you can handle here. Because we have a limited amount of I don't know what word to use, but it's we're only able to comprehend a certain amount, and after that amount, it's we get overwhelmed. I don't know what other word to use.
It's like bombarding you with. We always say they don't want to bombard you with information.
Yeah.
They don't want to overwhelm you.
Yeah. Imagine tomorrow you have a family member, a loved one die. And how many years of the life you're going to remember them and grieve them and miss them and think about them. Imagine that for 10 lifetimes. If you were to remember every lifetime, and I'm just kidding 10, because a lot of us have way more than
thousands
that.
And thousands.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say 10 just to say 10. Let's say that Lucia or Lorena, we both had 10 lifetimes where in that lifetime we had people that left that we missed. They're not here incarnated on this current lifetime with us because they're doing something else or they're somewhere else. You're going to miss every person that you had experience with in those lifetimes. We would not survive that.
It'd be too much emotionally.
It would be too much. It would be too much missing. And then understanding that you're here in this denser form and you're trying to pop out of it and try to live a more free life, knowing that when you leave, you have complete and utter freedom. We wouldn't stay here. We wouldn't live the experience. We'd all opt out to get out ASAP. Boom, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. So the supposed veil that makes us forget and that doesn't allow us to understand who we are and where we come from is put in place for our own protection. Mm-hmm. And the same thing goes for the database information that sometimes somebody will come to a reading and be like, I want to understand this or I want to know this, and they'll give you specific information but not too deep. It's because right there in that moment, that's as much as they consider that you can handle.
Yeah.
Too much more, and it's a breaking point for you, or it's a limiting scenario for you.
Yeah, or think of it this way: it might be too much, and then you'll just disregard it. You won't believe it.
as well.
They might, and they don't want that. They want you to understand things, but it's like anything. It takes time to integrate, to understand. It's like when we study, when you go to school, right? You don't learn all of the math equations. You start first with adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing, and then you move up. It's the same way.
The only moment that you're supposedly going to be ready in this lifetime, if you get there, to remember more past lives and more soul experiences is when your consciousness is expanded to a point where you understand how the universe functions, understand where we come from for real, like all this information I've been diving into. Only then will you be able to fully integrate the information from some of the past lives. Probably not all, it's too much.
It is a lot.
Some of the past lives, and be like, I understand the bigger picture, and I understand these experiences my soul had. But it's a process, and it's not overnight.
No.
It would be too much. It would be way too much for the souls to kind of get to a point and be like, okay, give me the information of every moment of existence I had. We would break down, first of all, our brain would break down from so much information. We would not be able to even survive in this reality because we wouldn't even be able to get up and go cook for ourselves and eat and keep ourselves alive because it would be too much to handle emotionally, mentally, especially, more than emotionally. It's too much to handle emotionally. So it's a protective, because I think the perspective of a lot of people is like the veil is a control thing. Like the veil was put upon us and it's a way of controlling us. Yes, it's a way for you to continue to have these experiences so your soul can expand and integrate more things, but it's the only way that you would do it properly.
Yeah.
Without overwhelming the brain.
Yeah. Exactly.
So understanding that, I think, is important to understand that the ether can only give you part of the database information that you're currently prepared to receive. If you're dying to understand more, or if you're dying to get more information about yourself, the universe, the cosmos, then you need to begin the expansion process of your consciousness. It's the only way to begin to get that.
Yeah.
It's the only way. It's not going to come tomorrow where you wake up and you go, boom, the veil just ripped out of place for me. It's I remember everything. No, your consciousness can only receive that kind of like reality of unlocking that part of your existence when you have been able to expand your perception and your understanding of that this is just one tiny reality inside of 50 million different realities in the entire universe on so many dimensions. We're in dimension 3, guys. We're in the lowest dimension that exists for a intelligent level that is a human being. We're the lowest.
Yeah.
The lowest. There's nothing lower than us from an intelligent level. There's nothing lower. So our universe, so when I'm saying this, and this is stuff I speak about in my Cosmic You classes, our universe, I cannot speak for other universes. So our universe where we are goes all the way to 40th dimension. We're in 3. Just let that set in. We're in 3.
Think about that for a second.
Think about that for a second. 3. So we're in 3. Around our creator for this current universe is around 36. He's existing in 36th dimension. I say he is not a he or she, but I'm just gonna say he because I have I have the tendency to call it a father figure, right?
Yeah.
So it's like 36th dimension is where our source creator of this universe is. I'm not talking about the energy everybody calls God. Go to 80th.
It's source. Yeah.
I think Absolute is in 80th, if I'm not mistaken. Father Absolute. The being that everybody prays to is God, that's above our source of this universe. I think it's about 80th, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check back my information, but I'm pretty sure it was 80th. 80th! We're in 3! And each dimension is divided into at least 3 sets. The Akashic Records try to make it simple. Lower, middle, and high. So when you tap into a dimension, you're not just going, I'm in 5th, boom, I'm in 5th. No, you're in lower 5th, middle 5th, higher 5th. It's also shifts inside of that dimension that you need to be able to escalate. So the Akashic Records that we currently access as readers is in the higher 5th dimension. And as human collective, we're trying to expand and quantum leap out of the third dimension into the lower fifth. We're like literally trying to just get our little tiny little toe into the beginning of the fifth.
Yeah.
So that goes to make you realize that we're just the littlest piece of like sand in the beach, and there's so many
It's
more
like a grain of sand,
grains of sand that exist.
Yep.
Just let that sit.
Yeah, I get that sensation when I look at the sky. You're like, we're nothing. We're just a little blip. That doesn't mean that we don't have value. Just there's something so much bigger out there. We're just a part of something.
Did you ever do that when you were little?
Yes, all the time.
You know what I remember doing when we would come back from like friends' houses or parties with mom and dad, and the car was at night? I remember looking out the window, and I would look at the moon and go, "Why is the moon always following me?"
Yeah.
I remember thinking that.
Yeah, I think you said it out loud once.
Did I?
Yeah, I feel like...
I pondered that every time we were in the car, and I'd be like, "Where's the moon?" And I would just the whole ride, I'd be like, no matter what road we were turning, I could see the moon. I'm like, how?
How is it always there?
It's following me all the time. It's always there. I remember thinking that.
I'm fascinated by the moon, actually. Always have been. Interesting.
Well, that makes sense because you're really into shadow work and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm totally into Jupiter. I'm obsessed with Jupiter. And Jupiter is the of abundance and empowerment.
And expansion.
Yeah. So I think that we're really connected to whatever it is that like is part of our purpose and mission. Like some people might be really into Venus and they're like all about the collective love and right?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Taurus, so Venus is the ruler of Taurus.
Is it?
So it is. To me, it's about emotions so that you can love yourself and love others,
That's
relationships, connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Via the moon work. The shadow
Via
work.
the shadow work, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Scorpio too, because my Scorpio is rising, so it's all about emotions, water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Sagittarius, so my main sign is Jupiter, but there was two of them for Sagittarius. It was Jupiter and...
I forgot.
Oh, I had to look that up. It was Jupiter and something else.
Now you made me doubt
some signs
myself.
have two...
Yeah, like Scorpio has two as well.
Oh, Scorpio has two? Maybe it was Scorpio, not Sagittarius?
Jupiter ruler. Let me see. I forgot. How did I forget all this? I feel like it's late. We had kind of a long day. The sign of Sagittarius or Pisces. Wait, no. What am I doing? And so the chart ruler is the planet. Wait, no. So you're talking about Jupiter being the ruler of Sagittarius. So no. So Jupiter's in. I think it's Sagittarius or Pisces. Are they both ruled by Jupiter?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe
Jupiter is associated with the sign of Sagittarius because both represent expansion, growth, and exploration. Wait, if Jupiter's the chart ruler, it means that the sign of Sagittarius or Pisces is on the ascendant. It says here, but I don't know. Jupiter's a king of the gods, the ruler of Sagittarius. So no, I don't know if Jupiter is the ruler of anything else, eh?
Eh?
No, okay, this makes sense. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and co-rules Pisces.
That's probably what I was thinking about.
But it doesn't have, Sagittarius.
Yeah.
But I do know that,
But some signs have two planets, right? I have two planets having two signs. One planet having two signs, I mean.
Yeah, or not a lot, actually. Wait, give me a second. So we're talking about Scorpio. Scorpio.
I can't remember what planet was Scorpio.
It ruled by Pluto, the planet that governs both destruction and transformation. And Mars also. Mars is Scorpio's ascendant.
Damn, those are some strong planets right there for Scorpio.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Mars is a co-ruler of Scorpio. Yeah.
Oh, they call it co-ruler.
Because Pluto was discovered, actually not pretty recently, if we think about it. I don't remember the year, but so once that was discovered, that's where Pluto came in.
They took it off as a planet, though, formally.
Now?
Not too long ago. I mean years ago probably, but I don't think it's considered even a planet anymore to like, I don't know, an entity like NASA probably.
Really?
Yeah, but for astrology it still is. The interesting tidbit, Jupiter actually is...
It's a dwarf planet, that's right.
Okay, that's what it is.
That lies in the Kuiper belt.
Yeah, so that's the destruction. That was a galactic war. All those residual pieces you find there, that was a galactic war, and that was left over.
I'm so fascinated by even astronomy. I think it's so crazy that we don't know that much, right? We think
because
we know,
we're not
but
consciously
we don't.
prepared to understand more.
I think that's the
only reason.
I agree with that. that energy.
That's just another way of understanding that we cannot bring in as a planet and as a collective things that we're not all ready to understand.
Okay, now I see what you're... Why is Pluto no longer a planet? Pluto is now classified as a dwarf planet because while it's a large enough to have become... I'm going to read this because this is interesting. People around the world... Okay, it says Pluto is now classified as a dwarf planet because while it is large enough to have become spherical, it is not big enough to exert its orbital dominance and clear the neighborhood surrounding its orbit. Yet, we think about it in the energetic sense, and Pluto has...
a lot of power.
We've seen it in the last couple of years.
Dude, it's done destruction big time.
It is about destruction and, like, reflourishing.
Yeah, but that's just
transformation.
Because that's from the perspective of third density people that, like, look at what defines a planet. Go ask the cosmos and be like, it's a planet, it's affecting you, get over it.
Yeah. It's we're here all about the labels, right? 3D is all about labels and putting things into boxes and making sure everything's in order. And you're just like, that's not how things work energetically sometimes, right?
No, it's not. It's definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
And Jupiter, I was saying that, like, just now, that Jupiter supposedly, because our planetary system is going to change. When we go into fifth dimension, also the way the planets affect us and who is going to affect us and who's going to be part of our system or energetic system, that changes. Jupiter's in training to become its own sun. So the idea is that Jupiter's in practice now, so it actually affects us as if we were a sun. It's beginning to practice to be a sun, and it's using its practice on at least Earth. I don't know about what contract it has with other planets, but for us, from a cosmic perspective, Jupiter is starting to practice to be sun, and we're, like, allowing it to implement its energies to help us. So think the sun is Jupiter, Jupiter is the sun.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they keep saying the astrologers are going to have to adapt their studies and their understanding of how we're affected, because fifth dimensional reality, when most of us are in it or about to get into it, we're going to start being affected very differently. The astrology is going to be different for us.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's funny because the more we get into, like, the Mayan calendar, so which would have began for us. It began in after the 12th of December, the 2012. I talk about, that's when we began. We ended the apocalypse. That was apocalypse, right? And we began a new era. And so the Mayan calendar is basically saying we began the time of no time. So the more we go into, the more years that pass by, the more we're going to be like, dude, what day is it? Like, because linear time actually is no longer a reality for us. But the problem is the structures that keep us going the way we have to live life are saying you got to still do your this for this hours and got to go over here on this hour. So it's like we're basically in survival mode in that sense.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't function that way, but we're having to figure out a way to function with it, and we're realizing we don't have enough time to do everything we used to do, and we're wondering why. It's like,
what the heck's going on
good
here?
luck with that, because every year that passes, the time of no time becomes much more quicker in its way of moving.
Affecting us too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Good luck
We'll
with
see
that.
how that pans out.
Yeah. We should be supposedly utilizing from now on the Mayan calendar. That's the one that's going to respect our real time and allow us to do all of the work and the shifts and the stuff that we need to do. But the problem is most of us are controlled by the Gregorian calendar still.
Yep.
We still have to do our job this day to this day, vacation from that day to that day, work from that hour to that hour. And so that's limiting us, because the reality is it doesn't function that way anymore.
Not anymore.
This reminds me a little bit of, we were just hanging out with a really good neighbor of ours. Shout out to our neighbor that we love you.
She listens to the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, so she's going to be listening to this. She's, like, right next door. And then a really good friend of Lorena's. And so we were hanging out with both of them just now, and she was saying, like, the time where she experienced Christmas 3 times. Because she had been in New Zealand, and then after New Zealand,
California?
We're missing one.
Did you say
somewhere?
New Zealand, then she flew back towards California
and
then the UK.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was like Merry Christmas,
Happy
Boxing Day.
It's like, oh, Groundhog Day. It's a longer story.
It's a longer story, and it has a lot of tidbits.
But that goes to show, like, you can.
That's reality now, though. That's why I'm thinking about her story just now that she told like an hour ago or something. Like, that's our reality now. But the thing is, the systems that keep us in control, sort of say, they're not letting. They know, by the way, but they're not letting us know because that's the only way to keep controlling us.
It's a control tactic.
It's control,
for sure.
Definitely, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I think
this is good. Yeah.
I think we fit in everything we wanted to get in there.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting perspective on the ether that you don't really hear a lot of Akashic Records reader talk about. So that's why we wanted to come on here and kind of talk about that, and just get you guys to like open your, because another way of expanding your consciousness is understanding the same information but now from a broader perspective.
Yeah.
That's the process of expansion, consciousness.
Yep.
So anyways, I want to say before we begin to say goodbye.
Well, before you say that.
Okay, go ahead.
We both do Akashic Record readings. A lot of people are like, oh, you do, who does
readings? Like, it's weird. You would think that everybody knew that?
They don't, though. Some people
are both Akashic Records readers for many years now. We both give the service. We'll leave the links below. And I'm currently doing an Akashic Records reading sale for all of August, 15% off. So I'll leave below the link where you just directly click on the link and you can book and pick the time and the date and check out and you're done.
What I was going to say is the price is on there. Yes, you have the price on there.
You're checking out with the price, the sale price of 15%. But it's very clear. I leave it
15%?
clear. 15%?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Discount.
Perfect.
And then you'll leave your website where they can book with you.
I'll put our contact forms. You can just reach out if there's any questions.
And then I invite everyone to come sign up for my Cosmic You classes, which are super cheap, especially for the amount of time and preparation and energy I put into it. They're really cheap.
Yeah, really deep.
It goes in deep to all this cosmic information even more. It helps you expand your consciousness. It's super, super, super cheap, and it's easy because it's in your own time. So all you do is sign up for it, and then you can just watch it. You have a PDF form that really brings you all the information that I'm going through in the class. So I invite everyone to sign up for that.
Yep.
Is there anything?
I don't think there's anything else for now.
Community. We have a community.
Yeah, the community. But also we do a dual Akashic Record readings where both of us open your records. We have some packages which include flower essences that also include angelic healing that Lucia does, and she's amazing at it. So those are a bit discounted if you're really looking to do a dual reading with us. Otherwise, we have hour and a half dual readings as well. I think that's it.
Yeah, and then we have a community where we dive in deeper to all these subjects as well, like we did here. We talk about so many things.
Yeah, the community is amazing. I will say that, and also
they're supporting each other. Really nice.
People are helping each other with their own healing
and health and well-being, and they're all giving each other advices, and everyone's freaking amazing and cool.
Yeah,
like they're so cool.
And you get discounts on readings if you join the community too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get discounts on our services.
Dual readings and personal readings and and I think give it courses. And our courses, you get selling courses.
You get a discount there. That's true. Yeah. I always forget everything we're like doing there.
Yeah.
I'm also sending out my workshop email, I think today. So you guys hear this on a Monday. I've been sending it out today, which is basically I'm going to be offering some ancestral and family healing via group workshops. So I'm going to have a date in August and a date in September. And then after that, I'll see what other dates come up in the year or how often I do them. And that's something I'll be offering for free quarterly in the community. So that's also another perk you get when you sign up there. So all the links will be in the show notes. Check them out. Feel free to contact us with any questions that you have with any of the things that we've talked about today. And we'll see you all next week with a new episode.
Bye guys. Thank you.